Good morning. Hi, I'm Maggie, and this morning we are outside of our offices in Ashland, Oregon, and we have a special treat for you today because we are going to go out to the Banyan Farm Project outside of Ashland in Williams, Oregon, and harvest ashwagandha. Yeah, we're gonna go check out what's been growing out there and see what the process looks like for taking that ashwagandha out of the ground. It is raining a little bit and we weren't expecting that, but hopefully it'll lift up by the time we get out there because it is a little drive. So we've been growing ashwagandha in India at our cooperatives for like many years, and actually we've been growing ashwagandha in Southern Oregon for the last like 3 or 4 years, but those have been kind of small little experiments. And this year we grew a whole field with the intention of really coming down now, with the intention of being able to use this ashwagandha root in our production. In the making of our products. We are here on the farm. We made it out here and it's not raining, so that's really good. And we've got Tyler and Tommy, and these are our guys who are working out here.
A year ago we found this farm, and then since then I've been working alongside Tommy, just making the day-to-day decisions here on what we want to plant and how to do that and how to tend to it.
So working alongside Tyler and the other 4 members of our crew to really just try and steward this land in the best way possible and fill it up with all the different herbs that we can grow for Banyan here. And yeah, a lot of what Tyler and I's role is planning, figuring out what's going to grow best where, coordinating planting times, harvest times, and so forth. And today we're going to be harvesting ashwagandha. Yeah, so here we are with ashwagandha, and the beginning of these plants' life was in the end of March, right around the spring equinox. And here we are shortly after the fall equinox, so it's been with us just about 6 months from seed to now when we're harvesting it.
Wow. This is what you started with. So you had dried seed like this?
We had dried seed like this, and each of these, yeah, we seeded each of these in a little cell right around the spring equinox.
You mean the cell, you mean like those little planters?
Yeah, just little, yeah, little planters, yeah, and it takes them about a week to 2 to germinate, and we're having them about 6 weeks in the greenhouse before we plant them out in the field. So we planted everything out here, yeah, right around the beginning of May throughout the month of May. And it's taken them May until now, here at the beginning of October, until they've gotten to this lovely queenly size. As gauging by the size of our roots, yeah, it feels like we've done pretty well.
Okay, so you're gauging by the size of the roots, because really that's the part that's going to be going into products. That's the medicinal part, right?
The medicinal part is the root, correct, yeah.
Are there other medicinal parts in there? Tyler, do you probably maybe have some more info there?
Yeah, I would say to this point the root is primarily what's been used, but we are having more and more interest in using the aerial parts, and so there's research and emphasis being put into the leaves. And I could see that over the next years being incorporated alongside the roots, and a part of people's apothecary are the actual leaves of the ashwagandha plant as well.
So ashwagandha is it's a member of the nightshade family. This seed and these seed pods being the most strong characteristic we see of these. So this is a bit reminiscent of a tomato or a tomatillo, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they look just like a tomatillo.
It looks just like a tomatillo. Yeah, they grow in these pretty lanterns, and yeah, really quite neat. And these lantern-like seed cases enclosing. the fruit, and then the fruit encasing the seed.
And are these seeds toxic?
Generally, the fruit and the seed is mildly toxic. Yeah, not recommended to eat. As is the case with lots in the nightshade family. The tomatillos, tomatoes being ones that we've just bred that characteristic out of.
Questioning when we want to harvest, especially in a climate like this in southern Oregon. So we're considered to have a temperate climate. We're in a zone 8, and so this plant we want to collect before we get those first really hard frost. And that's when we start to see a greater impact on the plant's vitality and especially the integrity of the root. And one indicator for us is when these swollen calyxes shift from a green to a brown. And so when we see a good percentage of these calyxes shift to this brown color, that's an indicator that it's time for us to collect the roots. And so out here, we're going to be collecting ashwagandha root anywhere from the end of September through mid-October is typically our harvest season.
I think the ashwagandha really thrives in a variety of different soil types. I think the main thing
is... It's an adaptogen.
It's an adaptogen. It adapts, to all these different areas. But I think generally, like with most plants, it wants loose soil. It does well in sandy soil that drains well, which we certainly have on this farm. And just really the soil that's really deep and loose, so you can just encourage that deep root growth. Yeah, and as far as growing goes, what ashwagandha really likes, how it really thrives, is that summer heat, which we have in abundance here. On a hot week where we're getting consistent 100-degree weather, you notice these plants grow on those times. They could grow several inches in a week, and it's really the heat that they respond to.
Whoa, the smell. It's so yummy.
I could just quickly demonstrate what the harvest process looks like. Choose a hardy plant right here. Generally, the bigger they are, the harder they are to get out of the ground. So we harvest these using these handy digging forks. Generally, we'll just get as close to the root base of that plant as possible. Get under there. Generally do that a couple times so as to avoid breaking any roots. Loosen the soil. And now it's ready to pull out. And there's our ashwagandha root. Yeah, so generally, unlike a curd or something, they'll grow with like kind of this more sprawling root mass. And this is a healthy specimen. This is about what we've been getting on average.
Here's a couple for comparison, just to give you a sense of what each one looks like side by side. So those are 3 separate plants there.
Basically, we'll just separate that root mass from the stalk and the leaves. So generally, all this will get left out here and later composted, and we'll bring this into the wash and pack and wash it before it goes into the dry room. So each of these ashwagandha plants, when they're wet, just coming out of the field, weighs just about 1/4 pound. 1 pound of fresh weight translates to about 1/3 of a pound of dry weight. So in translation, that means it would take us about 12 of these plants just in order to get 1 dry pound of ashwagandha. The stage of the process after we harvest it is just breaking this down into smaller pieces before it makes it into the dry room. We can't send this whole chunk to the processing facility. So basically, just cutting off about 1-inch pieces off of all these roots, breaking it down until it looks a little bit more uniform and small. So after we have a nice pile of 1-inch ashwagandha root pieces built up, then we'll just put it through the washing process. So we're just trying to get every last bit of dirt off of here to end up with the most clean, bacteria-free product possible. And then the final stage is leaving it into the dry room, and it'll be in the dry room for about 10 days before it's fully dry.
Yeah, so we'll get it packaged up, and we're actually going to be sending it to the processing facility in Albuquerque. So it's the Banyan processing facility, and this will make it into some of the products we see Banyan offer. And I think these in particular will be going into some oils.
Okay, likely an oil like our ashwagandha bala oil.
Absolutely.
Vata massage oil, things like that. Cool. Okay. Nice. Whoa. It's like chewing on a stick. I'm surprised it tastes pretty green.
But not bad though. You still get the ashwagandha flavor that shines through.
I definitely am getting the bitter right now.
That one shines the most. So for me personally, I can feel a little restless at night, and I would say if there's any stress that is accumulated in my life or that day, it tends to show up and express in the evening. And so I'm usually looking for a plant or plants or practices that are going to help calm me down and help me get into that sleep and rest state. And ashwagandha is one of those plants that I like to work with. And really I do it every evening. And so when we look at what that is, I will take the powdered ashwagandha root and about a tablespoon to 6 to 8 ounces of milk. And I use goat milk, but you can use cow milk, you can use a nut milk. And I'll add that ashwagandha root powder to that milk, and then I'll slowly bring that to a boil. And while I'm bringing that milk to a boil, I continue to stir so the ashwagandha is integrating into the milk well. And the reason why I don't boil for a long period of time is, as you can tell, Maggie, as you're chewing on this root, it's quite bitter. And so the longer that the ashwagandha is in hot or warm milk, you'll get more of those bitter tones, and sometimes that taste is a little overpowering. And for me, I have a sensitive constitution, so I like a subtler flavor profile, so I don't influence it by that much heat. But I'll bring it to a boil, I'll continue to stir. Once I shut that heating element off, then I'll continue to stir for another few seconds, and then I'll drink that milk about 30 minutes to 1 hour before going to bed, and it calms my body, it allows me to feel comfortable, and any of that stress just diminishes. That's one of the amazing powers of this plant.
All right, so that was our look into the ashwagandha field here at the Banyan Farm Project. Thanks so much for watching and checking this out with us today. I really hope you learned something about ashwagandha, and that if you haven't ever tried it before, that you are interested in giving it a go. So check out our products with the ashwagandha in it. We've got oils, tablets, and even just bulk powder. If you have any questions or comments, just leave those in the comment section below. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more Ayurvedic videos. Thanks for watching. Bye!